Welcome back to Between Two White Coats, a podcast designed to help you be the healthiest version of yourself. I'm Dr. Michelle Plaster, a family medicine doctor.
And I'm her co-host, Amber Foster, a family nurse practitioner. In our combined 30 years in medicine, we've seen a lot.
We're discussing key issues surrounding health and wellness, answering some of our biggest questions, overcoming health obstacles, and giving patient-centered advice in hopes of educating you and providing the tools you need to live a healthy life.
If you find our podcast helpful, please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review. This will help other people find our podcast.
Thanks for joining us. We look forward to serving you.
Thank you for joining us, and we are back with our friend Jenny Fisher. In our last episode, we talked about starting to create some foundational changes for better health, improved longevity, feeling better, looking better. No one's trying to feel or look bad. So we started by talking about some sleep changes, some subtle lifestyle changes with stress management, a little bit of daily movement, going for a walk, and doing some air squats every hour. I love the air squat suggestion that you made last time too, because I really feel like the muscles for staying independent as you age are your hip flexors, because it gets you safely off the toilet in a public restroom. It gets you out of a chair. When my patients ask me for one of those chair lifts, I'm always like, no, we will destroy your hip. Yes, we will destroy your hip flexors and you will never be able to stand on your own again.
That's a great way to put it.
And so it's simple stuff for staying independent. But if we're not doing it when we're younger, we can't imagine what's going to happen to us as we age. So
if you don't use it,
you lose it. That's exactly right. So we had some good foundational changes, and I hope that the people who were listening before have been able to implement a couple of things, as well as doing it 2 days in a row to create habits. And so now we're going to move into changing as far as our fuel. Talk to us about what we should be eating. And I love that we're referring to it as fuel.
Yeah.
Because, we've said many times, people will come to us and tell us how bad they feel. And then I'll say, if you put sand into the gas tank of your car and your car didn't run, you would probably not be so wondering what possibly happened to your car, but you will put junk into your body all day and then go, I feel terrible. I'm not sure what's going on. Like, well, maybe you're running on empty.
Yeah. And I am a certified nutrition coach, and I hold a degree in nutrition. So I've been in this realm for 25 years. But when I was younger, I knew macros. I knew what calories were. I knew kind of how to build a diet and all this stuff. And the food pyramid is what Dr. Ash at NC State, Nutrition 201, she basically was like, the food pyramid is garbage, but this is what we have. So we're going to go, it's funded by Big She. Anyways, very political discussion there. But she was great about teaching the basics. And that's what you learn when you're getting a nutrition degree in college. Are the basics, and the science behind it, anatomy, physiology, but how do we apply it? That's the hardest part.
That is the hardest part.
Oh
And I
my
think when
gosh.
people meet with nutritionists and it gets overly like this many grams of this and measure your food to be this, and you're like, I'm hungry and I just want to eat, and that's going to take an extra 20 minutes. And so people you can lose them fast.
You can lose them fast. And so as I'm a nutritionist and a metabolic consultant, if you will, one-on-one. And what I've found is everybody is so different with the food aversions, things that they don't like, things that they love, the way that they indulge, their schedules. That's a big thing, a schedule. And when they're working out, all these things are important to the way you feel, right? It can get very nuanced and very finite about what you should do. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about today some things that you can do that if you're doing these things consistently, and I'm going to give you some quick equations that for across the board, they work for everybody. So you can kind of do your own calculations at home and have some confidence of, okay, I feel good about this. It's going to move me forward. The other thing is I'm going to break down 4 body composition goals. One of them is the easiest one, and one of them is pretty hard to do, but I'm going to break them down so you understand it really follows very simple rules. So let's start with the fact of, you were talking about fueling, right? So to me, food accomplishes 3 things. 2 of them kind of at the same time, fueling and medicine. It is the medicine that you take 3 to 5 times a day. And some people, thank God, y'all as practitioners value that. You know that things that you're putting in your body are going to create things, right? It's a systemic drug for us. And if we are taking that medicine properly, it's going to fuel us properly too. But the other part of it, let's say 10, maybe even 20% of that food needs to be indulgence too. And I say needs to be. Like, you should be indulging in your life, because that is part of what makes us human. It is the human condition, is to enjoy what this earth is giving us. So don't be afraid of indulgence. And I'd love for you to plan it. So when you're building your food strategy, you're planning for those indulgences and you are leaning into them and celebrating them. So I think when we have shame tied to those things, we all of a sudden backfire and just go, well, it makes me feel bad, so I'm just going to throw everything
Yes, I'm
away.
so glad you say that, because people think there's something wrong with them if they get satisfaction out of food. And that must make them have an unhealthy relationship with food. No, this is how our bodies allow us to eat and stay nourished, is that we get satisfaction out of food.
Yeah.
And we can use food in ways where it's more than 20%. But I think if you allow yourself that 20%, then you can also start to regulate, okay, it's my birthday and I'm going to have this cupcake, but I'm
absolutely.
also not going to eat the leftover birthday cake for the next 3 weeks. It doesn't even taste good
I call it
anymore.
responsible indulgence.
Yeah,
like
I love
if you are
that.
honoring the food and honoring yourself, and there's a respect there, this is what I've realized as an adult is, and this is one of the ways that I've been able to apply a healthy lifestyle, is go, I can have the cake for my birthday. I'm going to enjoy it. But guess what? I can also have some tomorrow night too. So I don't need that big of a piece, right? Or I don't need 2 cupcakes because I can have one tomorrow.
Right.
So I think when you realize you are an adult and you have autonomy and you have choices that you can make, you're allowed to do certain things. So don't think I'm not allowed to. Think about, what am I? What can I do? So I think when we start to reframe the way we talk about food and fuel and all that stuff, it just creates a much better bond. And that's one of the things on my SALT training app. I'm teaching fitness, but I'm also reinforcing these ways that we think about our fuel, our fitness, the opportunities that it's giving us and things like
What's
that.
a positive spin on it?
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
so used to
yeah.
negative
Right.
connotation, like, Slim Fast and Snackwells. Remember all of those?
Oh, yeah.
Snack Wells, I used to crush them.
And them devil's food cake cookies from Snackwells. My mom used to buy them. Golly, me and my brother used to kill them.
Right.
Anyways,
Less good when I ate
These
the
are
whole box.
healthy. And
yeah,
I was
right. But like, that's we
Serving
always,
size, 1 box.
But like, there's always a negative connotation to
Yeah.
food. So
Yep.
you're putting a positive spin on something that we typically do feel shame around.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a life-giving thing. So
Yeah.
appreciate it for what it is.
I love it. Okay, so Amber and I are making these changes ourselves. So help us out. What should we be doing for our fueling?
So I think most people will want to hear about the calculations that they need to do personally. So let's talk about that. And then we'll talk about some of the nutrients and macronutrients that go into those things so that it makes sense. So let's talk about the 4 body composition goals typically that people are going for. Is weight loss. I just need to lose weight. My doctor said I need to lose weight. How do I do that? A really easy equation is take your current body weight times 12. So if you're 200 pounds, what does that end up being? 2,400 calories?
Oh, Jesus, I'm horrible at math.
Okay. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
podcast
much.
director.
I tried to make it easy and I've made it difficult on me. So 2,400 calories. What do I hear women tell me? Women especially. 2,400 calories. That's way more than I
never
thought I
eat that
needed.
much.
I don't eat that much. So math is math. Okay, if you are a 200 pound woman or man and you're eating under 2,400 calories 7 days a week, no matter what kind of calories those are, you are going to start trending down in your weight. And what we look at is like a half pound to maybe 2 pounds a week, 2 pounds a week being pretty strong weight loss. I like 0.5 to 1 pound per week because it's not only attainable, but it's sustainable.
Yeah.
And like you said last podcast that we did, it's not about fast results. It's about taking a lifestyle and changing it so you can live like this, because you've lived up to this point. Now you need to change. It's not going to be a crash. So we need to find sustainable ways to do it. So take your current body weight times 12, and that's just a really good number. Stay under that number 7 days a week. One of the mistakes I made when I was younger is I would do the 6 days and a cheat day, and I would end up, now looking back, I was like, oh, I probably crushed a good 4,000 to 5,000 calories in that cheat day.
Those
Easy.
Snackwell cookies.
And it was the resentment building up. But
Yeah.
the 6 days that I was eating, I was trying to eat under 1,600 calories. I was starving myself. So I was building that resentment all week. And then I
also see in that, and that's a approach that a lot of people will take. And I see in that it's a deprivation over indulgence kind of pattern, which what we really are trying to get people to do is to not feel deprived and not feel like they have to overindulge, but to get this, hey, I'm happy and I can do this forever and I don't feel deprived and I don't feel like if I don't eat it today, I'm not going to get it for 6 more days.
That's
so it's really like getting into your head in a good way as well, to where I think too many times when we're trying to make nutritional changes, we're playing too many mind games. And instead we just have to go, what's good for us? What are we capable of? And then how do we sustain it?
And again, if you're not seeing the results, are the results ever going to happen? Sometimes it's like an ice cube. You're going to turn that temperature up, but until that temperature reaches 32 degrees, the ice cube isn't going to see visible signs of melting. Analogy. So you're pressing that thermostat up, but until it gets to 32 degrees, you're not going to see it melting. So stick with it. If you're eating under that number, if you are gaining weight during that, then I can tell you that your math is off the way that you're counting. Okay, you're not in a deficit, period. So the other body composition thing to look at is, what if I want to lose weight, but I want it to be mostly body fat, right? I think that's most people. I want to lose weight, but I really want to lose body fat.
And if you are saying, I don't care, I just want to lose weight, then I want you to get out of that like old way of thinking that thinner is better, because stronger is better and muscle matters. And so I would encourage you to be this thinker that says, I want to lose weight, but I want to choose what I'm losing to lose the bad stuff. And I'm going to really work hard to not lose the good stuff.
Yeah. And I think that is, and like you were saying, step by step, right? You have some people that are like, but it's all overwhelming. So if you want to start with, let me just get my calories under control. Right. I think that's a great place to start. And then once you start seeing, I'm doing this right, this is cool, I can do this. Then you start to shift into, how do I now fuel even more appropriately? I love that. So it's protein. If you are consuming 30 to 40% of those calories from protein, you're going to preserve muscle. If you're preserving muscle, then the only thing you can lose is what? Body fat, right? Yeah. Unless you had a hysterectomy and you're losing organs. Right. You're not going to lose anything but body fat in that case. So 30 to 40% of protein, what does that look like? Well, a protein is 4 calories per gram. So when you're looking at things, you have to do a little bit of math, but that's the easy math, 4 calories per gram of protein. So you can do some math there and go, okay, how many calories do I need a day? I need 2,000. What's 40% of that? And then divide by 4 to get the actual grams. Another easy way to do it that's not overwhelming is, especially men and women who have never targeted protein before, just get over 100 grams of protein a day, period. Start there and magic will happen. Your energy will go up. You'll feel stronger in the gym. You will sleep better. Your satiety will be better. So your meals will feel better. One of the hacks that I do is when I go to a restaurant, for example, if I go to Chick-fil-A, I will get a Cool Wrap sandwich with chicken in it, and then I get an extra side of just grilled chicken nuggets just for that extra boost of protein. So double your lean proteins when you can.
A good way to track your proteins would be to get an app. Lots of them are free. Like MyFitnessPal is one I've recommended to patients.
Lose It's a good one.
And you can just lose it. You can put you can put everything you eat, and maybe you haven't even made a change yet. Maybe you just want to observe where you're at and just put every single thing that you're eating into an app for a day or two and look at how many grams of protein you're getting now. Yeah. Because I think it's sort of like when we tell people, I need you to drink 100 ounces of water. And they're like, how many bottles is that? What? Are you sure? That's a full-time job. But I do think if you look at what you're getting in protein now in our typical American diet, people are probably overestimating how much protein they're actually getting. They're actually getting less.
They overestimate protein. They underestimate calories, and that it can lead you into a place where you're not seeing those results.
But those are easy. Like that's easy. Such easy digestible
and
information.
Look, and protein can taste good. Get protein that you like. You haven't told us not to eat a single thing.
And my husband's a hunter, so I get some of the best protein. Man, I'm telling you, my kids My kids are like, "Where's my protein?" Like
bro, where's my protein?
Yeah, bro, where's my protein?
Right.
I got some little bros at home.
Yeah, Jenny said that her 9 and 11-year-old boys were telling their friend who was ordering a shake and fries, and Jenny was like, "We're going to get something else with that." And so the one little boy said, "Bro, where's your protein?" And his friend was like, "What? What are you talking about? This is what happens when you are being raised by a nutrition expert."
They can teach a 101 class at college.
I love it.
One hack I'm going to give, and this is for anybody. Get Chat GPT or Gronk or one of these Chat GPT AI platforms. Whatever restaurant you're going into, or if you're going to the grocery store, put in there, give me a meal. I'm going to Longhorn Steakhouse. Give me a meal that is 600 calories and 40 grams of protein.
Oh my gosh,
and guess
how
what?
easy is that?
It will. And then you tell the server, can I have this? That'd be great. But done. Going to McDonald's, going to be really hard to do, but I'm sure it can come up with something.
But when you go in and you go, well, then there was nothing in here that really sounded good, then maybe that's not a restaurant you keep going to.
Choice. Yeah, it's all about choices. All right, so the next body composition goal is, what if I just want to put on muscle, right? Because thank God all of these influencers and all of these researchers are starting to talk about, especially women in their 40s, with building skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is the life giver. It is longevity. It is everything. It is metabolic health. So if you're wanting to gain muscle, which I celebrate, we need to be in a little bit of a surplus. So we want to be about 10% over our maintenance. So maybe it's about
protein levels?
No, just calories.
And calories.
Yep. You want to be in a surplus of calories. And this is gaining muscle, period, right? So we're eating our protein and all that stuff, but we're not fixated on protein. We're still just trying to get 100 grams, maybe 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's a great goal. 100 grams to 1 gram per pound of body weight is a great goal.
Ideal body weight, right? Of what you're targeting
without
for.
obsessing about protein. But you want to be in a slight surplus. So usually it's about 150 to 300 calories above maintenance. But the other part of it is you've got to be lifting, progressive overload, hypertrophy lifting. So my ladies that are doing nothing but Pilates, I need you to do your Pilates, but your primary source of working out, maybe 3 to 4 days, maybe 5 days a week, heavy lifting. I mean, and I just mean like go in for 15 minutes and do 5 to 6 really heavy sets of squats. You know what I mean?
How do you know it's a heavy set of squats?
That's a great question. We'll talk about this a little more on the fitness part of it, but I look at intensity. And I use a thing called reps in reserve. So if I have a client and I go, okay, choose a weight that you can do 6 reps where you'll have 1 rep left in reserve and you can put the weight down safely, but your form is good and all that stuff. If they pick up a weight and they're on rep 20, I'm like, well, that's the wrong weight. You know what I mean? So you want to choose weights that are going to challenge you and get that level of intensity in there.
Okay.
It's more about intensity than, I say counting is for kindergartners. You're at a point now where we need to start looking at intensity and lowering those reps a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So now let's talk about the hardest body composition. And I don't recommend people do this, honestly, unless you are a very skilled fitness and fueler.
This is not us, Shelly.
Just
FYI. Just
I'll
in
be
case
honest.
you're wondering where we fell.
As soon as she said
I don't
do
like
not
this one
recommend,
either.
I stopped listening. Yeah.
It's not going to be me.
I don't choose this one either, but you can gain skeletal muscle and lose body fat at the same time. To do that, though, you've got to be in a slight surplus, lift really heavy like we were talking about, and then you also need to be eating about 30 to 40% of your calories from protein. So lots and lots and lots of protein in that surplus and hitting that gym and hitting those weights really hard. So, but those are kind of the four things that you can look at.
And so really most people who are saying, I need to lose weight in a healthy way, are going to fall really in sort of that second category, without maybe overwhelming people, of cut your calories back so that you're losing, but then be really aware of your protein so that you're losing the right stuff. And I think it's going to be harder for people if you go, well, let me just lose it all first and then I'll add back. Well, why lose something that you're just going to have to add back later? So try not to lose muscle, sustain your muscle. And then when you get more to a goal weight, you could look at adding more muscle or increasing your lifting and your heavy weights.
Yeah. And psychologically, if you feel better in your skin, you'll want to go to the gym and you'll want to move better too. So it all becomes a cycle thing. But when we're talking about when we're talking about our full fuel thing, everybody's like, but there's more macronutrients than just protein. What about the fat and the carbs? So as somebody who is research backed, I can go ahead and tell you, you don't really have to worry about fat and carbs so much. We need to eat them. But if you are eating a really high fat diet, what happens? You're eating a ton of calories and you're not eating very much food, right? Because fat is very calorically dense. It's about 9 to 10 calories per gram. Carbs are 4. So carbs are going to be a little less energy. So it's easier to eat high protein, higher carb, and keep that caloric balance. But how do we do that? And we know that we're not going to add on fat and all that stuff. Well, we're not going to complicate it. I want you to think about calories. I want you to think about protein when you're talking about body composition. Now, how do we, the other 2 things that I want you to think about when you're building a plate, and this is because this is going to be medicinal and it's going to make you fuller. It's going to help you with the gut health and microbiome and all that. Fiber. We got to add fiber. Fiber is calorically neutral, which is great, but don't subtract it from your calories. Just keep it in there. But it's really, really good for good gut health. So you're going to have good motility. You're going to have lower inflammation. You're going to have better immunity and things like that. So you'll be sick less, meaning everything will jive better. You're going to have better brain health because of the serotonin release. So we want to add fiber wherever we can. How do we do that? Fiber is only found in plant sources. So you're going to find it in veggies, fruits, legumes. Those are my favorites. And then whole grains. I eat whole grains all the time. So please don't shy away from grains. The trick, though, is you can get a whole grain Triscuit, okay, or you can get whole grain farro or buckwheat or some kind of chickpea pasta. Those are going to be higher in fiber, higher in nutrients, just in general, a little bit higher in protein. And I like to think about single source foods. So when you get something, you have to read the ingredient list. That's okay. That's sometimes helpful, right? Especially if it's in sauces or a protein bar that's necessary for ease of cooking. But if you can, start cooking from scratch. And I do little 30-minute cooking classes on my Instagram because I'm like, it's not hard, you guys. It's not hard. You just...
you doing a little... We joke about us doing a cooking class.
I've heard you talk about that. And I'm like, God, I wish I had access to their kitchen.
It's so cute down there, too.
It's so easy. And I literally will walk in and go, you know what? I got the house to myself. Hey, guys, we're doing Instagram Live. We're gonna cook this meal together. But I focus on what is the caloric makeup. And then how much protein can I add into that? So instead of a recipe calling for 1 pound of ground beef, I'm going to do 2 pounds of ground elk because my husband has brought it home for me. And I just
also,
doubled the
Josh
protein.
Are not bringing home elk.
They're not.
They're just
It's
not.
kind of their fault.
It's their.
We're not getting more protein.
Yeah.
You know, they got to do better these men.
So you're sneaking in the elk, and then go ahead.
But simple substitutes.
But double the protein. And so when I eat a pasta dish, it has a reasonable amount of whole wheat pasta or chickpea pasta or semolina pasta. I love Italian semolina pasta, but it's got double the meat sauce on it that comes from just pure tomatoes and meat. You know, so it's simple things, simple choices that you can make. The other biggest thing, and I know you as a physician see so many patients with prediabetes and diabetes and dementia, all these things that are very sugar related.
Yeah.
So if we can bring our added sugars. So added sugars are not the sugars found in fruits and vegetables. It is literally the honeys, the syrups, the jellies. We're Southern. It's in everything because it just tastes so good. But
And as
do
you
you
said,
need
the
it?
simpler foods that come from the earth don't have high fructose corn syrup in them.
And they have fiber attached to it. Your body's going to handle it differently. So whenever you look at a food label, if it says added sugar, calculate that into what you're eating, measure it out to make sure you know how much you're getting. But that added sugar is just going to interrupt some things. For example, when your insulin levels are up after a meal, everybody's insulin goes up after a meal. If you have less added sugar in that meal, your insulin's going to come back to baseline quicker, right? And the quicker it gets down to baseline, the faster we can get into a fat mobilization, fat oxidation, meaning you are burning fat now. So you don't want to be a sugar burner all day, because if you're burning sugar all day, you're never going to get to that stored fat.
Right.
But if you can get your insulin levels, which is the thing that kind of transports that sugar into the muscles, if you can get that back to baseline quicker, then you can now start burning fat. And that's what we're after. So again, sugar's great. Sugar's great for the brain. We need it. We can get all of it we need in our fruits and vegetables. But if you like added sugar, I love some dark chocolate for dessert. I love it. I love a little bit of added agave in my coffee. I have sugar all the time, but I am cognizant about it being under about 35 grams per day. If you're starting out, think under 50 grams per day and get used to that. But yeah, those are just simple things, and moderate alcohol or maybe eliminate it altogether. Those, I mean, if I can wrap it in a bow. So yeah, so protein, caloric balance for weight maintenance, decreasing added sugars, increasing fiber wherever you can, and eating from whole source foods whenever you can. And it's not
What
much
do you
harder.
tell your patients or clients about water? Like, of course, I mean, that's
Water.
a gimme, I'm sure, but like, what do you do? What is your recommendation on that? When you're taking
My recommendation is I try to get 48 to 80 ounces of water a day. I think that's doable for most people. If you're ever feeling thirsty, you're not drinking enough water. You should never feel thirsty. You need to drink throughout the day. So some people have timers, some people have the water bottles with measurements. All of that stuff is helpful. But my biggest thing is I have to be an adult and I have to be mindful about this. There's no excuses. I used to make excuses. There really are no excuses. You just have to
and
drink
now we
water.
have cute ones. We have cute water bottles.
Yeah,
Makes it even better.
that fit in your. Yeah, so my rule that I've realized is I have to have a straw personally. Otherwise, I'm not going to drink it. So I have to have a straw. It has to be in my car or my purse or somewhere with me. So I just take one everywhere with me. And electrolytes are really, really cool. So instead of doing the $3 liquid IVs, which I used to do all the time, I now just put Himalayan sea salt in my water, lemon juice. Sometimes I'll put tart cherry or something in there to make it taste great. But I kind of make my own and call it a day.
Well, that's fantastic. And as you said, food is medicine, and we have to stay hydrated, and eating the real stuff is going to be the medicine.
I'm feeling motivated.
Yeah. Yes. And you know what though? I feel not scared or angry about anything that she said. Most of the time when we start talking about nutrition changes, it feels like you're being disciplined.
So emotionally tied to our food.
Yes.
I get it. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think the idea that there's no conversation here about what you cannot have. There's no list of never eat these things, must eat these. And, you know, so many times people come in and they're like, give me the list of foods to eat. Sure, we can do that. You're going to eat them for a week or two. You'll have good results, and then you'll get bored with it, or you'll lose your list. And so these are really just basic foundational rules. They are not hard. Figure out what your calorie amount is, figure out what your protein amount is, and if that feels like too much, target around 100 grams of protein a day. Really focus, look at a list of protein containing foods and pick out the ones you like them. Chat GPT it.
I'm just saying ChatGPT.
It's everything. I don't use it.
I use it for everything.
I think once people start using it,
they
can't
love it,
stop.
but I just am like, I don't know. We got to get better.
We all know the person who didn't. We know the day they started using ChatGPT because suddenly their emails and text messages sound
so
better.
professional.
And I'm like, that is ChatGPT because you never used to use those words.
You are not that professional.
Yes, but they sound smart, and now they'll also eat better.
No, I'm
so
put it in,
okay.
like, I'm going
So the
to this
takeaways from
restaurant.
this are calories, protein, water, eat clean, eat
Fiber and less sugar.
fiber, less sugar.
I mean,
and,
all the things we
and
know
Chat
to do.
GPT.
It really is. It's the things you know, but
already things you know to do,
Yeah,
but it
they
doesn't
are.
sound overwhelming or hard.
good.
It doesn't. Yep. And these are subtle changes. And if it feels like a lot, then start with one of these changes and build
Amen.
from there.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if you go, well, I can't do that, do it for 2 days straight. So like in our last episode,
again, with the
2-day rule.
The 2 in a row rule can apply like this. If you have 3 meal blocks that you've strategized, you've gotten your calories, you understand how much protein in each meal, then set out for breakfast and lunch. I'm going to hit these targets. But if you miss one, you can't miss another one in a row. You're trying to hit those targets. So you can have an indulgent lunch, try to get back onto it for dinner.
Yeah.
Same thing. So don't miss your goals for 2 meals in a row.
And you could easily use ChatGPT to say, I need this many calories. I need this amount of protein. This is what's in my fridge.
Yep.
What can I do with it? And then there you go.
I do it all the time.
Too easy.
Yep.
All right. Well, there is no reason that we can fail on this.
Right. And you got 2 more weeks. So
That's
come
right.
back in an additional 2 weeks. And this next time we're talking about fitness, which if you haven't seen Jenny, she knows fitness.
Yeah. And so
Buckle
if
up.
you're listening to us, I encourage you to look at her Instagram. You will be inspired.
Thanks. We're going to talk about from beginner to expert fitness. So
Perfect.
yeah,
All
everybody.
right. So we'll see you back in 2 weeks where we layer on to the next thing for making you your best healthy self. Thank you so much for joining us. We like to leave you on a good note. So here's today's Tell Me Something Good. Simple comforts. I personally like a soft blanket. I have about 200 of them spread throughout my house. And when I just cozy up with that soft blanket, I can relax and feel safe. And maybe it takes me back to when I was a baby and I had my little Linus blanket. I don't know, but it gives me comfort. So simple comforts.
Thank you for joining us today. And until next time, take care of yourself.